Hello, my name is Arrington, and this is my Capstone video presentation. I'm currently a graduate student in pursuit of my Master's of Instructional Technology at Kennesaw State University. I began the program in the summer of 2015 and will graduate this May. My capstone project was conducted at Rockdale County High School during the 2016-17 school year. My project involves implementing a flipped classroom to promote student comprehension and higher achievement. My reasons for focusing on the impact of the flipped model are twofold. First, as an advanced placement teacher, I struggle with ensuring that my students are receiving the necessary content while still maintaining the rigor in the classroom needed to allow them to be successful on their annual AP exams. Additionally, I'm also looking for effective ways to integrate my district's Learning Reimagined plan, which has provided all students grades 3 through 12 in our county with a personal device such as a laptop or a tablet. The intent of this capstone project is to address this problem through the implementation of a flipped model to support student learning of course curriculum at home. By providing access to content at home, it will promote comprehension of course material and free up class time for student-centered activities. The goal of this project was to institute a flipped classroom in an AP World History class to increase student comprehension and achievement. While many students are enrolling in AP-level courses in order to be eligible to receive Hope Scholarship credits or benefit from weighted GPA points, not all students are prepared to excel on annual AP exams. This is due in part to open enrollment policies at Rockdale County High School. Students either choose to register for or are placed by school counselors into AP courses, but many do not have strong enough Lexile scores and as a result are unable to adequately comprehend college-level textbook material. This forces teachers to devote a large portion of class time to redelivery of material that was intended to be gained as part of the nightly reading assignments. An additional consequence of this is that many students are not engaged during class time, which results from classroom instruction being predominantly lecture-based, further leading to lower performance on AP exams. One common finding for causes of low student performance, as stressed by Kevin Clark, who conducted a study on the effect of the flipped model on student performance, can be attributed to the passive learning experience students receive. One concern which has presented itself in many AP classrooms, including those at RCHS, is that of diverse student groups comprised of students with varying learning abilities. Clark's research, conducted on a similarly diverse student sample, can provide support for the use of the blended model. This model can enable students with concerns such as lower Lexile scores to gain access to college-level materials through mediums other than textbook reading. In addition to meeting the needs of diverse populations, flipping instruction also allows for lower-level cognitive work to be completed outside of the classroom, which allows the class period to be used for higher-order thinking skilled activities. By gaining exposure to materials through flipped lessons, students can potentially increase their performance on AP exams. The goal of this project was for students to interact with AP-level course material through the use of podcasts, videos, narrated presentations, and screencasts to increase their performance. Throughout the fall semester of the 2016-17 school year, the project called for the implementation of the flipped model in an AP World History classroom at Rockdale County High School. The purpose of this implementation is to increase student performance and achievement to better prepare students for the AP exams at the end of the year. As part of the plan, a survey was conducted, flipped lectures were assigned, and students were assessed on their knowledge comprehension of the material throughout the project. The following steps were taken to develop and implement the flipped model. First, I conducted a learning styles assessment on students and then evaluated the results to ensure flipped materials were selected to meet the needs of all learning styles. Next, I created new materials and I also located existing flipped lessons that were aligned to the AP World History key concepts. I then created and administered formative assessments in the form of quizzes aligned to the AP key concepts to assess student comprehension of course material gained throughout the flipped lessons. I also conducted pre- and post-unit assessments to measure student comprehension and performance. Finally, to improve teacher delivery of flipped lessons, I conducted a professional development session for the AP teachers at my school to instruct them on how to create flipped lesson materials. The teachers were then instructed to produce and implement a flipped lesson of their own. The following steps were taken to develop and implement the flipped model. First, I conducted a learning styles assessment on students and then evaluated the results to ensure the flipped materials that were selected and produced met the needs of all learning styles. I next created new materials and located existing flipped lessons that were aligned to AP World History key concepts. I created and administered formative assessments in the form of quizzes aligned to these key concepts to assess student comprehension of course material gained through the flipped lessons. I also conducted pre- and post-unit assessments to measure student comprehension and performance. And finally, to improve teacher delivery of flipped lessons, I conducted a professional development session for the AP teachers at my school to instruct them on how to create flipped lesson materials. The teachers were then instructed to produce and implement a flipped lesson of their own. The setting for this research project was Rockdale County High School. As part of Rockdale County Public Schools Learning Reimagined plan, Rockdale County High School is a complete one-to-one school. As a result, all students participating in this research project had access to a school-issued laptop computer, as well as a student account for the district's learning management system, It's Learning. This experience took place in my 10th grade advanced placement world history classroom, and again the focus was on content delivery provided through the half-flip classroom model. During the summer of 2016, I began the process by creating and locating flip materials aligned to the AP World History key concepts that were intended to be implemented during the 2016-17 school year. These resources included a variety of materials such as lectures, podcasts, webquests, narrated slide presentations, and primary documents. After the flip materials were created and located, I began to work on the LMS site that would provide access to the materials for student participants. One obstacle that arose was in regards to my ability to use the newly purchased LMS It's Learning. To address this, I reviewed the instructional materials on the websites and then practiced until I became proficient with it. On the first day of class, in July of 2016, I administered a learning style survey to the project participants in order to ensure that the flip materials were varied enough to meet the diverse learning needs of the participants enrolled in my class. I reviewed the results and discovered that most of the students were either visual or auditory learners, so the decision was made to use the above-mentioned pre-selected flip materials. As there were also a few kinesthetic learners, I made the choice to increase the number and frequency of assigned web quests. This decision was made in an effort to meet the needs of these tactile learners, who required more interaction with the material. The instrument also included questions to inform me on the availability of internet access for students at home and their proficiency with learning in the online setting. I found that students had the basic knowledge to be successful with accessing the materials and that all students had internet access at home. Throughout the fall semester of the 2016-17 school year, I implemented a flip model in an AP World History classroom. At the beginning of each unit of study, I created and administered a pretest to gauge the students' prior knowledge of the unit content and to serve as a baseline to measure student growth regarding the comprehension of the material. I then assigned a minimum of 2 flip lessons per week to students enrolled in the course. The materials were either self-produced or were located through research and then posted on my course site in It's Learning. Throughout the unit, I created and administered formative assessments in the form of quizzes aligned to AP key concepts to assess student comprehension. The assessments were in the form of multiple-choice quizzes and aligned to the AP key concepts, which were reviewed in the flip material. Finally, at the conclusion of each unit of a study, I administered a post-assessment to measure student growth and achievement. The results of both the formative and summative unit assessments demonstrated that the flip method of delivery had a positive impact on student comprehension and achievement. All students demonstrated growth from the pre to the post test to the follow-up assessment. Additionally, all students who viewed the flip materials passed each formative assessment with a minimum score of 70% or higher. On the occasion a student did not pass a formative assessment, it was found that they had not viewed the assigned material. At the October AP PLC meeting, I conducted a professional development session on the use of and creation of flip materials. The intent of the session was to equip teachers with the knowledge and tools to implement a flip model in their respective classrooms. The flip tools that were covered in the session included Jing and Office Mix. At the conclusion of the session, the attendees were instructed to produce their own flip lesson. 2 teachers required additional instruction, and one-on-one sessions were scheduled and conducted. After implementing their flip lessons, teachers sent feedback to me regarding their experience with the model. The feedback was for the most part positive, citing that it helped to improve student understanding of course material. One negative that was noted was the amount of time required to produce flip materials. To offset this, I encouraged the AP teachers to join PLC groups through Facebook to provide them with a wealth of pre-existing materials already aligned to their course standards. At the end of the fall semester, students completed a post-survey to assess their attitudes in regards to the implementation of the flip model. The survey was administered through It's Learning, the LMS that was used to house the flip materials. The results provided me with feedback in regards to students' perception on the use of and impact of the flip model. Additionally, it provided me with the insight in regards to students' perspectives of which mediums work best to deliver the materials. I plan to use this information in the future, and this feedback will provide guidance for the continued use of the flip model in my classroom. Throughout the course of implementing this Capstone project, it remained apparent that the flipped classroom model can provide an avenue to meet the increasingly varied needs of both the diverse student populations enrolling in advanced placement courses and instructors of these students. This project illustrated the important role technology can play in providing students with the access to course material at home and in a format that increased their comprehension of the material, which allows for less class time to be devoted to lecture and more time to implement more student-centered and higher-ordered activities. This further served to improve student performance. This experience provided the opportunity for me to demonstrate my ability to select appropriate digital tools and resources while taking into consideration the needs and learning styles of the project's participants. I was responsible for selecting appropriate tools, monitoring progress, and developing an enriched online learning environment to support student learning and to increase student achievement. This project also provided me with the opportunity to assume the role of a technology coach to instruct their peers in the design and implementation of the flipped learning model. One takeaway from this project was that students new to the flipped model needed additional assistance and scaffolding. Initially, I had developed questions for students to consider when reviewing the flipped materials. However, as the project progressed, students became more comfortable with the method of delivery and required less structure. Additionally, a negative of flipping that was uncovered was that by providing students with exposure to the lecture materials at home, they lacked the opportunity to ask questions. This was rectified by instructing them to write their questions down and then devoting the beginning of each class period following a flip lesson to responding to these questions. Overall, I feel like this project was a huge success, and I highly recommend implementing the flip model. This has been my capstone presentation. I'm Lauren Arrington, signing off. Thank you for listening.